Good evening. Tonight, In the Thick of It with Sammi, with F2M Shed. Later, Quedia, with spoken word artist Amanda Marx. To finish tonight, In the Thick of It with Sammi, talking with the Status Consortium.
You're on Bent TV, In the Thick of It with Sammi, and I've busted onto the set because I'm really excited, because coming up very shortly we're going to have a brand new series called Transmission, and I've managed to drag in some of the amazing people that are going to be involved in this series. We have the boys from F2M Shed, Dale, Andrew and Dee. Hey!
How you doing?
I know you're not used to just being this close to a girl, but anyway, we'll get over it. I know,
you keep saying that. I'm a bit confused why me you say that.
No, all of yours, no. Now, F2M Shed is an absolutely amazing group. You know, I've known you boys for a very, very long time, and every time I get involved with some of the great organisations within our community, you always seem to be having so much fun. I know that we have to be very serious about our journeys and everything that we're involved with and all of the great advocacy work that we do. But what does having something like F2M Shed mean to you, Dale?
Well, it's somewhere to go, and the isolation is pretty full on if you don't know anyone. So it's somewhere to meet other guys going through the same journey. There's guys that have been through the journey and are just sort of normal, and there's guys that are starting out. So it's isolation. If we can stop people from being isolated, then we've done half a job.
And what about you, Dee? When you first walked into the space, was it a little bit for you like going, oh my God, I finally feel like I've, found my brothers and people that actually understand, what you're talking about and where you are?
Sure. I think one of the biggest things that surprised me was how many there were, to be honest, because like Dale says, I think very much there is isolation in amongst transitioning of any sort. So I just didn't know there was that many out there. So to have those, to get connections within that, the support, yes, and the connections, to meet up with them outside of the shed, having coffee or joking around online, and they understand.
And for you, Andrew, was it also being able to just have those, the general information that's available, because, as you go through a transition, just being able to different clothes that you buy, because the sizes are so different, aren't they?
Yeah, in the first 3 months of hormones, you can literally change your whole wardrobe 3 times over. And we've got a clothes swap so that people don't have to spend and fork out the money every time that they want to change. Yeah. So we have clothes, we have book swap, we've got forms to change your name, we always have a bit of an afternoon tea, a bit of a joke, and each meeting has a bit of a theme so that you can hear something on hormones or something on shaving, grooming tips, all kinds of things. Chest surgery, we've done a lot. So it's a fun place to be.
And I suppose that's one of the things that a lot of people, don't think about sometimes is, when you are starting testosterone and you are starting to change, you're basically going back to being a teenage boy.
Yep.
And things that you actually never really learnt and understood and was taught to you as a teenage boy.
I was fortunate because my father taught me. I had to practice shaving on his face. It was pretty well accepted when I was a teenager that I was a boy, so he brought me up as a boy. But I do go to the shed and do meetings and teach the new guys how to shave so they don't cut their throats. And sometimes we have fashion clashes, You have guys
You're both laughing like, I've been there, I can see that, yeah.
They half get it right and yeah, we have to fix that up pretty quick.
Is that when you go, now listen, it really like that, not so much.
Not so much, yeah. Best to think again.
But it's hard because once again, they're trying to, fit in. They're trying to do it on the budget they can do it on. So once again, that's where the shed comes into it as well, where we put in. So a lot of us that have gone through that initial burst put their clothes into this pile and it gets, redone and revamped, and they get to look at some of the way others dress.
Yeah, and we've got a supply of binders that swaps through as well,
Yeah.
because when guys have their top surgery, then they'll put the binders in. So that's a really big help too, and you can see the different styles and talk about what's good to use, and also the downstairs department. We've done a fabulous session on Packers. That was so much fun.
Many sessions. Yes, that was a lot of fun.
I do remember going to the Men's Shed Association, and they asked us whether we had tools.
Yes.
And I said, yes, we do.
We do tools.
We do
Yes.
tools.
We do tools, yeah.
Well, you know, as a lesbian, I always go, well, one of the girls' best friends is her toolbox.
Yeah.
So, but you boys also have, a great toolbox as well, and also being able to sort of feel comfortable and finally be able to go and as you were saying with the way that your body changes.
Yeah.
Once your hormones are actually at the levels that they should have been when you were born, and you finally start to feel like everything's starting to happen. Your body shape changes so much, doesn't it?
Oh my God.
Yeah, and it's just a great source of information for the things that pop up that you really don't expect. Like we've had guys ask questions, well, what do I do going through customs? With my
something
prosthesis
very simple,
on.
yeah.
And
so you never know what's around the corner that you need to ask someone. You think you're fully transitioned and life throws a new one at you.
But the most often we're asked is facial hair. You've never seen so much teenage bum fluff in all your born days with these guys, and I look
Glad I
and
shaved.
they get the bits going, and they've got a patch here.
so
Can you
proud of
see
it.
that?
Yep.
Can you see that?
Okay, so very quickly, because of course we could sit here all day because we know how much we love to talk, the four of us. Something like this series that we're now that's going to be coming up on Bent TV with Transmission. Very quickly, what each of you could just quickly tell us what it means to you to be able to have a series like this available that we're shooting at the moment.
Well, I think for me it's getting more out there that, we are who we are, and look at us. We're just normal people just doing our lives. You know what I mean? We're just...
It's enough. There's enough series in it that the public are getting to see enough of us that hopefully some stereotypes will be broken down, because we walk down the street and often they don't know. We're just guys walking down the street.
It's really hard to tell a trans guy from just normal guys in society.
Yeah.
And of course, it's always been my aspiration to become a D-grade celebrity. So
Darling,
being
you are
on TV...
much more than that now.
Darling.
You've made the big time. You're on Bent TV.
I'm darling. I'm a darling.
You've been in the thick of it with Sammi on Bent TV. So excited. Stay tuned, because coming up very, very shortly, we were going to have our brand new series, Transmission. It's going to be amazing.
Turn these trolls to stone, your goblin's market of forbidden fruit. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is fairest of them all? Come closer, missy, and let us see who it is we are to be. The corps de ballet have packed their points away. The fall has robbed Aurora of her perfect ballante. Beauty's pas de deux, a memory. There'll be no grand jeté to dance. The light has left our ingenue, gone our innocent romance. Scarlet and L'Amour are who these pagans pay to see. It's the art of the tease that rocks their socks, that plays the sleaze and mocks their cocks when the curtain parts for our Miss T. Mouths that slowly open when the sweat beads and glistens on their skin. Eyes that track the rivulets to where their dreams begin. Palms that soon do dampen on their spent and sorry plight. Hearts that ache for what they wish they may and wish they might. Don't they know what stony brides temple prostitutes make? Were they never told not to sin? She can captivate you with her eyes, but she'll never let you in. What rhapsody will you sing for your supper, Miss Chatelaine? What aria will you summon to serenade the scales from their eyes? What siren song will you call upon to lure them, to procure them and in the darkness, skewer them. Will the whore of Babylon invade their reverie tonight to haunt their dreams with nature's anarchism of sex and cruelty and cataclysm? Will the alabaster Ishtar come out to play today, tormenting with her blood-red pout, her breath upon your breast, her fatal touch a heartbeat away, her whispered love confessed? Will you walk with them to the edge of their wanton abyss, their mother protector, their pubescent prima donna, their vestal virgin's onanistic tout, their maleficent Madonna? So serene and so desirable, so shamelessly amiss. You're their Lilith, you're their Delilah, you're their darling, their death, vampiric taker of their heart's desires, the stealer of their love, the giver of grief, or worse, of naught. Nature's beauty masking nature's demonic revenge. Will Titania cast her Medusan spell this night and turn these trolls to stone? Your goblin's market of forbidden fruit, dripping from the vine, your passion flower, your velvet peach, no longer so benign. Their frozen hands on frozen strands of glistening delight, their grail forever out of reach, their craven lust, their vain pursuit, their cri de coeur forever mute, abandoned at your feet. Their empty love, a black conceit, carved deep into your throne, where lost in absence Anna's kiss, you dream your dreams alone of all that you must miss. Time to weave your web and pull it tight, my sister of the night. Your bearded bodice will be delicious, my sweet, a tasty taffeta treat, its dark invite, a barbed wire fence, serving its purpose without obstructing the view. Time to wave your wand, my fairy queen. It's time to pay the rent. A hint of allure, your signature scent. Cleopatra brows to set the scene. Mascara lots. And then some just to be sure. Lipstick. Cocoa rouge, of course. A sweep of blush. How good are you? Settle petal. I can feel it too. I can taste their bitter remorse. Time to strut your stuff, my Bellatrix. Time to honour your sacred vow. It's time to settle the score. Titillate the Johns, seduce the Janes, and when the final curtain closes, you know we'll hear the hush. You know we'll hear the roar. We've been doing it for 1,000 years and will for 1,000 more. Eve knew it then, just as we know it now. What else could this life be for? Be it heaven on earth or the maelstrom of hell, every dick, every finger has the same tale to tell. Man has never been in control. And in the dark, she'll linger like a tear without a soul.
Amanda, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
You're on Ben's TV, you're watching Quedia with Steve Pereira and Amanda Marx, and you've just heard Amanda sing, recite, say. What's the name of the piece?
MissTaken.
MissTaken. Wow. It's such a dense piece. It is so full of classical alliteration and symbolism. You've got the Bible in there, you've got Greek mythology, you've got, I think, the entire classical English canon in there.
Pretty much. Certainly the Bible is alluded to quite extensively. Greek literature informs a lot of the characters in that piece.
But tragic, yes?
Yes, it is.
But why? So the central story is this ballerina who becomes a burlesque artist.
Well, ballet dance is pretty daunting undertaking. Ballet dancers probably rarely retire. They probably mostly have some accident, some injury, and can no longer dance. So they still have to pay the rent. They still have a life to live. And she has to become a burlesque performer, perhaps a striptease performer.
When you perform, do you aim for the head or the heart?
I'd like to think, that's a good question. A bit of both. I'd like to think primarily the heart, albeit that the classical allusions that are in this piece and in many of my other pieces do take a little bit of backgrounding and a bit of thought.
But eventually you arrive back at the heart.
Oh, you've got to. It's got to strike a chord. It's got to have a note of passion that for any audience, no matter what their background, they will get it. They will get a feeling and they'll get something that works for them.
You've been watching Quedia with Steve, Pereira and Amanda. We'll be back next time. Thank you for watching. Get onto our website and say hi to everybody. Thanks.
You're on Event TV in the thick of it with Sammi, and today I'm really excited because I'm joined by the Status Consortium, and we're going to be talking all about Status, which is part of the cultural program for AIDS 2014. Michelle Barber, one of the executive producers of Status. Now, Status is just not only just such an important piece, but it covers such a very, very important message, doesn't it?
Throughout the development of the process, we've interviewed quite a large array of people, and the common theme that we found, the strongest theme was stigma. And stigma has impacted everybody that we've spoken to in so many different ways, whether it's from a family member or someone that was caring for them, or like a massive variety is probably not the right word, but a massive array of stories, and the theme is stigma for everybody. And I think that's what's kind of brought the producers together, is that maybe we hadn't anticipated that the stigma would be the thing that touched us the most. And it's probably what's brought us together as well, because it's been emotional to the word journey gets used a lot, but I think because it's been emotional for us all, it's brought us very, very close together. It's quite a unique working environment for the three of us. And
we talk about, we go through the different journeys of this learned experience, and it does show very distinctively about how HIV has touched so many people's lives.
And I think we've been surprised at the way it's touched people's lives. We've heard stories of people that, without it wanting to sound flip, but their lives have been better because of it. And HIV has been we've learnt so much about HIV ourselves as well. And the people have been very frank and honest and shared so much of themselves. It feels like a bit of an honour in a strange way to be able to present a piece like this for the world, and that sounds like a kind of a big statement to make, but we feel like there's a lot of weight on our shoulders as well in portraying it's presenting their real stories.
And that's the difference with this particular piece as well, is the way that it's actually done. I'm going to have a little bit of a chat to Stephen and Cameron now, because I'm surprised that they've managed to stay quiet the whole time we've been talking. And we're going to have a little bit of a talk to Stephen, a little bit about the importance of being involved with AIDS 2014. Stephen Barber, another of the executive producers of Status. Now, Stephen, when we were talking to Michelle, she was speaking about how stigma is just such an important part of this piece. How does this particularly speak to you?
Yeah, for me it's about, we use stigma to generalise people. We put people in pigeonholes with stigma, and it's really a human condition. We use it in so many ways. We actually use it to condition our children, and we try to actually tell them that, you shouldn't do this because society will judge you, and yet we become confused when people use stigma in other ways to prejudge.
And I think that's one of the things why this piece is so important, is it actually shows that while this particular piece does talk about the stigma associated with people living with and surrounded by HIV, that it can be taken, the message can be taken so many different ways that people can take out into their lives as well.
Yeah, look, the whole aim of our project is to create a positive conversation around HIV, to help break down the barriers and remove the stigma and the mystery surrounding HIV and the people living with it.
And of course that then as a society helps us move forward and with more acceptance. Now, one of the great things about this is just so fabulous that Status is in the cultural program for AIDS 2014, and pretty much it is the only theatrical piece in the CBD.
It is indeed, yes. We're very proudly affiliated with the main conference, but look, none of this would be possible without the support of the key bodies and health organisations involved in people living with HIV.
And it is so amazing that this cultural event is part of AIDS 2014 and is such an important piece as well. Definitely.
We believe that there's a message out there. We need to start the conversation surrounding HIV, and we believe that moving forward and beyond 2014, Status is the vehicle to actually take that conversation on.
Wonderful, and we're going to get into it now with Cameron, all about the actual production. Now, people normally say you save the best for last, and in this case I think that I have Cameron Menzies, executive producer and director of this amazing piece. Now, where is the production being held?
Well, we are very, very lucky to be in Victoria's premier arts venue. So we're part of the Arts Centre Melbourne in the Fairfax studio.
Oh, what an amazing venue.
I know. It's really special to be really under that massive spire that everyone walks past every day, probably pretty much, and it's such a beautiful venue, and it's what I like about it is it has an intimacy in the Fairfax studio that is really hard to find in venues in Melbourne.
And I think that's one thing with this piece is it is a very intimate production, isn't it?
It is. That's how it's intended. Look, it's very real. It is real life stories of people. We have interviewed probably about just over 40 hours of interviews that were taken, and then from that we transcribed, and from that then the script was created. So we have all these real life stories of people's experience with an HIV diagnosis. We interviewed HIV positive men, women, lovers, friends, negative people, medical professionals, carers, everyone that we could sort of find, because we wanted to take a look at stigma through HIV, but from a very global and human responsibility, definitely not as a sexuality issue. And,
when we talk about a theatre production, the difference with this piece is, we talked about it, this is actually verbatim theatre. So explain to me a little bit more about how that is.
Well, verbatim theatre is essentially just interviewing people and then writing a piece from their content. However, we decided to take verbatim very, very strictly. So some verbatim theatre is based on interviews. This is really how we were told it, and word for word of the interviews. So this is really truly how it came out of the mouths of the people that so bravely came and spoke to us about their lives. And in that way, I think you capture the real tempo of everyone's speech. And we have very different ages, and we have different sexualities and different ethnic groups and all that sort of stuff. But it's you capture the tempo of someone through how they speak, and the words that they actually choose to use is very definitive of someone, and that's what I think comes through very clearly in verbatim theatre.
And particularly, it's very exciting because you've just started rehearsals.
We have today.
Wow.
I know, the Band-Aid's been ripped off.
Well and truly.
Yes.
Now, with this as well, even though you have such a plethora of stories, it's being told by 4 actors, 2 male and 2 female, but also the actors aren't actually speaking of the pieces which relate to their gender.
Not necessarily. Look, some speeches have been given, it's sort of sexless in some ways. It's sort of what qualities the actor could bring to it. We do have 2 men and 2 women in the cast, and we have an older actress and a younger actress, and an older male and a younger male actor, and we have such scope and such variety that those 4 people really have to change from almost person to person and from story to story. But it was about not necessarily putting the same sex into the same actor. It was about finding the quality that they actually could bring to a piece.
Wow, it's very exciting. I can't wait for this production. So where do we go to get tickets for?
We're on at the Art Centre, so it's artcentermelbourne.com.au.
And to find out more information about Status?
Is statustheplay.com.
Oh, I'm so excited. I can't wait. So you can go and see Status the Play, part of the cultural program for AIDS 2014. You've been with Sammi in the thick of it on Bent TV.